You are listening to the BlahCade Pinball Podcast. I am your host, Chris Freebus, aka Shut Your Trap. Joining me as always, halfway across the world, Jared Morgan.
G'day.
How do?
Oh, yeah. Life is life at the moment.
Life is life.
Just trudging through it at the moment. How about you?
Pretty much the same. It's nothing exciting to shout out about, that's for sure.
Just the regular life.
Just regular, which is sometimes not bad, but certainly boring in a lot of other people's minds. But
Yeah.
that's where I look at, like, so the job I do, where I'm never at the same location twice, the hours are constantly shifting. There's, even if you're on stage for 3 days in a row, you're doing something different all 3 days. And I then look at somebody like you who goes into the office at the same time every day to the same location every day, and I don't understand how that works.
Yeah. Well, I'm doing work from home a couple of days a week. So, that breaks it up a little bit as well. But yeah, you're right. I go to work, I sit in the same spot. I do mostly the same type of thing with some different flavors added to the top of it.
Yeah.
But I guess the difference, we've had this discussion before. I remember it. But it's sort of like one of those things that my type of work is different because of the different things I need to look at and do. It's not so much the location that changes, it's the type of digital work that I need to do
right
each day. And I guess that's the variation for me. And that's what keeps it fresh.
I never can imagine, like my dad, he went to work every day at the same office building at the same time every day for 30 plus years.
30 years, yeah.
And it's just like, whoa,
Yeah.
My wife said that her dad, the way when he was driving into work every day, he would wave to the same cars every day. Like
really?
Because I don't know how bad traffic is for you in Australia, but in
terrible
California, it's just a part of life. And so you're stuck in the same traffic jam with everybody. And if everybody's getting on the freeway at the same time, that they normally do from their normal spot, you're going to tend to run into the same people.
Yeah.
So
you should just have CB radios in your car and just have a big morning chat.
Can you imagine?
Imagine
I know something that I was going to mention to you.
What's that?
So I am not a baseball fan in the least. Find it completely boring. But last night I'm flipping through channels and our local baseball team, the Dodgers, is in the World Series against the other side of the country's Boston Red Sox. And so I was flipping in just to see what the score is.
Yep.
And next thing I know in my flipping, it's now up to the 12th inning. Baseball normally goes to 9 innings. And now I realize that you in Australia, who I imagine follow cricket, yes?
Well, some people do.
Well, some people do, but cricket is very
Cricket's
much
a big national pastime here.
Yes. Yeah. And cricket is known for having extraordinarily long matches, correct?
Certainly the test matches do, yeah. But the shorter format ones like 2020 and stuff are a lot. They're basically like the social media crack of cricket. That's how people do them.
Yeah. So last night, this game, the game started at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. At 11:30 at night, I decided I was done with the TV and flipping channels, and I turned off the TV, and the game was still going on. And that was in the 15th inning.
Wow.
And I was sitting at my computer at about 12:30 at night, and I heard some neighbors cheer, and I went, oh, the game must be over. And sure enough, it was over at 18 innings. So they basically played 2 complete games.
Why did they do that? Was it just one of those games that would
tied game?
Oh wow!
Okay. Tied game, and you got to play until the tie is over. Wound up being the longest and most innings of any playoff baseball in history.
Wow!
I'm just like,
that's insane.
So here's the thing that I'm thinking about, though, right? First off, those people that are sitting in the stands, they've been in the stands for what is it, almost 6 hours?
Yeah.
That's a long slog.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking, what about the people that were on the East Coast that are diehard Red Sox fans following this, right?
Yeah.
It's 4 a.m. for them by the time the game ended.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I would love. I'm gonna have to look up and see what the ratings numbers and just like if they fall off a cliff at a certain point. But anyway,
how do you find that out? Like, how do you know when ratings drop off or come back up? Do you have like some sort of public service over there that gives
you all I have to do is type in Game 3 World Series 2018 ratings, and I'm sure I can find. Oh yeah, I can.
Oh right.
Hey, internet is great for all sorts of things.
It is now, because I remember, back in the days of analog TV, the only way you could get access to that was actually have, the black box in your house, and if you were selected as a ratings influencer, so
right, the old Nielsen box.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but that was just that. But that didn't tell you what the ratings were. That just counted you as the ratings. Yeah. But you would have to wait about a week, and then all of a sudden the Nielsen ratings would come out, and they would tell you. But now you can find out what the ratings were every hour at half-hour breaks. You can really just track where the stuff tumbles and falls. Yeah. Oh,
I just wonder how they work it out. Like, is it like? I would have thought that perhaps in the past it might have been, what is the signal strength being received at or transmitted at, so that you can actually maintain signal or something like that in analog days. Because I'm thinking that might be a measure. I don't even know how they would measure it.
Here's the funny thing. It used to be that, you had to fill out your Nielsen diary, right?
Yeah.
And, of course, when people were a Nielsen family for the week or whatever, suddenly they watched a lot of public access TV. And, like, all these shows that they wouldn't be caught dead whether they're trying to sound like I watched that, right? And with the advent of satellite TV and with your DVRs now and everything, they can track this stuff real time. They still do a lot of estimates of what people are actually watching, because not everybody has these boxes.
Yes.
But these boxes are sending data left and right. You kidding me?
All over the place. They're all interconnected. So when you're watching a show, it'll be telling the studio about something. It'll be telling the pay TV provider.
I was always curious about, like, even car radio. I'm like, how the heck do they get ratings for that stuff? But apparently they're able to track listenership somehow. I don't know.
It's really bizarre. I reckon it's signal strength, because we're still operating on analog radio over here. We have digital channels, but we're still like sharing, not sharing. We still got the analog signals there.
Oh yeah, we do.
I don't think there's any plan to actually deprecate the analog bandwidths, which it will happen eventually, because when they do, they usually make it available for mobile telephony. So that's what they did with all the analog TV over here. Like, as soon as they got rid of the analog bands over here, they resold them, the spectrums, and then you got 4G, basically. So it was.
But they got to be careful with, like, because my car has HD radio in it, and if it can't lock into the HD signal, then it switches to analog. And it's really weird. You'll be listening, and I can tell also because the heads-up display for my radio, all of a sudden I'll lose all the data, and it'll just say the station name, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'm in analog right now, and you're listening, and all of a sudden the fidelity gets like way better, and you're like, oh, the HD just kicked in. But but then if I switch over to a purely HD station, because all the stations that are in HD, they then offer, they offer HD1, HD2, HD3.
Yeah, they're multicast. Yeah,
right, they're multicasting. So if you're listening to just an HD station, all of a sudden it'll just cut out, because
you will lose it. It'll go off the grid. Yeah,
amazing how often that happens. And so I think right there is, until they get that, poking into every nook and cranny, you're still going to have terrestrial analog radio.
Yeah, because it is like the further you are away from the metropolitan areas too, you have to actually have repeaters everywhere.
Yeah,
to have the digital transmission. Like, I don't think at the moment we can drive up the coast to the Sunshine Coast, and we can still get Brisbane radio stations on the new car. Not so much on the Mazda that I drive now, but on the Kia, we can definitely get all the Brisbane radio stations still pretty clearly. But you guarantee that if that was a digital station, you'd have no chance.
Right. So folks, as you can tell,
it's a bit light. It's a bit light on the old penny news this week.
We're in one of those calms before the storm, if you will. So we're gonna be spinning our wheels quite a bit on things that are not pinball related. We'll get some pinball in there too.
Eventually.
But I'll just give you the heads up right now. We are scheduling to have another chat with Mel Kirk from Zen. That'll be coming up in, I believe, 2 weeks or so. That'll be one of those also that we pre-record because there'll be stuff that we'll have to edit out, no doubt.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, that'll be one of those. And I mean, pretty much you can guess it's going to be about the announcement of what the next batch of tables are going to be.
Yep.
I believe he's got some other stuff brewing that he wants to talk to us about. So that'll be coming up. But until then, yeah, Pinball News is going to be.
We've really only got one news stream that's sort of active at the moment. That's really Zen. So
yeah,
I mean, you know, Farsight's there, but they're not really doing a lot of pinball at the moment. And Zachariah, you know, is there as well, but again, they're not a high volume producer. So
speaking of Farsight, so let's touch upon some things.
Okay.
Last week we discussed the terrible case of Smurfberries.
Yes.
Well, it turns out that the Smurfberries are even worse. Because whereas we were saying that you had to earn 1,000 tokens before you get your can buy 1 gold bar, apparently that was also based on what level you were at within playing. So the better you play, now you come up to a higher level, and now you have to earn even more tokens.
Like 2,000 tokens for gold.
And eventually it gets to an absurd number. So... yeah, the Smurfberries even get worse.
That's oh dear.
Yeah,
terrible. That's so. People have actually, so some players have actually told you, like, responded to the call that we sent out saying, "So, what's it actually like playing this thing with the Smurfberries?"
Yeah.
Oh dear. Yeah. Wow, that's a terrible, terrible thing.
Somebody brought it up with that they were going to review the game. And they were actually had positive things to say about the game. And it's like, oh yeah, there's a game.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but that's the problem is when you get focused on the controversies that are within it, sometimes that can
overshadow the game.
Yeah, it can taint everything else that's going on about it.
All the time. Like, if you have something that gets in the way of you enjoying the game, this is what we were talking about last week. If you don't enjoy the game, you focus not on the actual game itself and the mechanics of, like, unlocking things so you can play. And it doesn't become about the game anymore. It becomes about the model that you've implemented for pricing.
Right.
So it's actually a pricing game, not an actual pinball game. And that's really stupid.
Even though you can technically avoid it, yeah.
You just don't play it. That's how you technically avoid it.
You see it, you get offended by it, Yeah.
It will trigger me constantly. I would just go and play Zen.
And that's the same thing, though, that Zen is kind of having to deal with right now. I don't think it's really affecting that many people, but the whole censorship thing, it kind of overtook the story.
It did.
So,
for the diehard fans, for everyone else, they could not care less about it, honestly. Everyone else is going, hey, cool, look at these digital pinball tables that I've never seen before because I've only been playing Zen Pinball. These are great. Let's keep these coming. And that's literally where the interest in it stops.
Yeah.
It's only folks that are like you and I and the rest of the real diehard fans that are really worrying too much about censorship. So
I did see a funny comment regarding Medieval Madness in tournament mode. Somebody was like, hey guys, I'm having a really hard time hitting the catapult in tournament mode. What's up with that? And so I had to go at it, and sure enough, I was having a hard time. But then I all of a sudden realized, yeah, I can't hit the catapult in real life either.
So it's actually not really a tournament's fault. It's just that's a really hard shot.
Well, you wind up hitting the post a lot.
Yeah, you do.
And depending on the sensitivity of that rubber, it'll kick that ball right back at you. As opposed to if it's a dead rubber, then the ball will kind of ricochet in much easier.
Yeah, I've actually played the original Medieval and the remake Medieval, and on that catapult entry, they've actually got on the bottom side of the catapult entry, they've got this metal sort of a guide on there now. So I think it used to just be like a gate and a rubber, but now it seems like they've got like this metal form piece instead, and I think that's making it slightly easier to get in there.
Okay.
So it's just a bit interesting to see how they've modified that. They obviously modified it because it was probably getting slammed a lot by balls, and they wanted to strengthen it. But yeah, it seems to be different from my memory, at least. So I'd like to see an original Medieval and a remake Medieval side by side and see what the differences are.
You have to look those up, maybe.
Yeah, I have to have a look on the internets.
Because finding an original Medieval is a little bit tough sometimes.
Yeah, we've got some around here.
No.
They're mostly remakes on site now.
Yeah.
And, I mean, why wouldn't you? If you're going to put one on site, you would put a remake on there because they're going to be more reliable.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. What other pinball-ish news can we go for? I did record all of my call-outs for Stars Phoenix in Zachariah Pinball that's coming up.
So how'd you do it? Did you just do it from your home with your equipment?
Yep, did it from home and just used Audacity to record. And the one thing that I apparently didn't do right was, so when I'm on set and people do what we call them wild lines, which are audio that is not filmed. It's just purely for the sound guys. So this is the kind of thing that you would hear, the other end of a phone conversation, or somebody doing an off-screen call out of, they just want different, and they always want variations of the line reading. And so the actor will sit there and they'll, say the same line over and over again, maybe, 4 or 5 different variations of it. And it gives the editors what they want, something to choose, what they want to go for. So with each of the call outs, I did just that. I did them in about 3 or 4 different variations, and then I moved on. So it would be like, if I had to say bonus 2 times, it'd be like bonus 2 times, bonus 2 times, bonus 2 times. So because I don't know what they want out of
what they want,
right. So I was just rolling them off, and so I clumped, like there was 5 different bonus things to go through. So I clumped all those into one, called that a file, and then moved on, open up a new file.
Right.
Well, apparently what they really wanted was each and every one to have its own file.
Oh, really? So,
because now they're going to have to go through and break them up. But my point is, but I don't know what I'm going to do, a different voice variation for each call out.
Yeah.
So within that block of 5, I'm going to have 30 files or something like that. If I'm not getting a little direction, then I'd rather just hear you sort it out. Pick the one you want. You can isolate it, cut it, and
rip it, and then take it. Yeah, exactly.
Be on your merry way. But it was one of those things where it was a little bit odd doing them out loud. And I told my wife, I was like, just don't laugh at me while I'm doing these.
Because it's like, it's going to sound dumb.
Yeah, it's going to sound dumb. It was completely out of context for anything that's going on. Yeah, it sounds odd to be all of a sudden be like, jackpot!
Yes. And actually wanting to get excited enough to say jackpot correctly.
Right.
Yeah. It would be hard to do.
It was pretty fun, though. I enjoyed doing that. If I get the opportunity again, I'd love to do it again. A different voice, but yeah, that was cool.
It would have been fun.
What else? Did you see the Beatles pinball? The video that dropped. Apparently, the video wasn't supposed to drop. It got leaked.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I've heard that basically it was a whole lot of like thumbs down from everyone watching it.
Well, if you've had a look at it, it's got that early 60s color palette.
It's very pastel, isn't it?
Oh, just kind of gross. It just doesn't look great to me. And then, especially when you compare, again, it's a reskin of Sea Witch. And then you look at Sea Witch and you go, yeah, I'd rather have that.
Just give me Sea Witch. Yeah. You think of it, I reckon I actually think the list price of Sea Witches will be going up now because of this. Or you know what people are going to do? They're going to basically get it and just put a Sea Witch skin over the top of it and get rid of all the Beatles. They wouldn't, because it's going to cost you $30,000. So
yeah. Upon further reading, they said that they're limiting the production run to 1,964. So 1964.
Yes.
That's when this is all set. The song list too is like, really? That's Those are
They're the ones
slugs.
who got.
Okay. And I mean, they added a couple of features to the table that's different from Sea Witch, but
Wow, they got a spinning disc.
spinning disc and a magnet at the top. And
Wow.
there's 2 extra stand-up targets, and I think there's a ball lock behind a drop target bank.
Right.
That's about the sum of it. But
even
the
video,
which
was a single ball, wasn't it?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. But even you watch the video, and it's just a snooze fest.
It is.
Like, wow, there's no excitement going on right now.
No, it's pretty flat. And as I say that because it is pretty flat.
There's no ramps. There's a flat layout. Boy.
Yeah, I tell you what, I don't know if they're going to be selling 1,964 of them.
I bet they will. It's collectible.
Probably will. There's so many Beatles nuts out there that, they probably will sell, unfortunately, which sets a precedent. I know that the guy who was, I think the guy that was on Head-to-Head Pinball, the owner of Kapow, Joe Kamikow, I think his name is, and he was, he was selling it hard, eh? We couldn't tell anyone what it was. He goes, you won't believe that this license is possible, but we managed to get it. It's been in the works for 10 years. We've been trying, and all of a sudden they said, yeah, sure, let's do it. And it's like, oh, it's amazing. I think you'll really like it. There's a lot to like about the game. He was like really, really laying it on thick, when he was selling it. And I was going, if you're laying it on that thick when you're trying to get people interested in it, there's a reason why you are. Because
you just go through the YouTube comments and you'll see what people's opinions are of it. Now, I mean, granted, it's YouTube. You can't trust every comment that's on there, but you can certainly get a taste of it.
It's a barometer of what people are thinking, And
it was certainly most of the stuff that was being commented on was exactly the things I was thinking of when I was watching the video of it. So,
there's not enough on there to an extra. Sure, having a 2-ball multi-ball, it's nice, but why stop at 2? You could have gone with 3. Pretty easily, I would think. Yeah. If you're redesigning mechanisms in the playfield, why just have a 2-ball? So I don't know.
And I don't know. I also just with the color scheme too. It's like, to me, that's black and white era Beatles. So let's have black and white Beatles.
have you seen shots of the black and white Twilight Zone?
Right.
Yeah, because they've done one.
Yeah.
Someone has actually rethemed it for black and white. It looks pretty incredible.
Well, all you have to do is think of Centaur. That's virtually all black and white.
And it works. They've got accents of red on there, and that's what really makes it an effective looking playfield. But yeah, you could do the same thing with this pretty easily, actually, and it'd look very tasteful, and it would be a very big point of difference out there in the market. But this is just I don't know. It's not translating very well on video. Maybe it looks better in person.
What they really should have done was Sgt. Pepper era, and then it would just look like a Zaccaria table.
Yeah, exactly.
And whack.
It would look like Farfalla then, wouldn't it?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got a little bit of pinball talk that we'll talk about a little bit later, but we're gonna move into a different category.
Okay.
So this is the non-pinball version of things, folks. This past week, talking with 2 different people, both of who, one is in his early 30s, one is in his late 30s, I believe, but mentioning of movies and them going, no, never seen it, and my jaw hitting the floor. Because they fancy themselves, science fiction people.
All right.
They like pop culture. They like mainstream movies. And yet somehow one of the guys had never seen Blade Runner and never seen any, and because of that, he didn't see the newer Blade Runner. And again, this is somebody who really likes hard science fiction. I'm just like, how? And then I have to realize, oh yeah, by the time you were old enough to probably be even aware of the movie was already 20 years old. So
yeah, that's right.
Okay, fine, whatever. But then another friend of mine, first off, a couple of weeks ago, I discovered he'd never seen Terminator or Terminator 2. which is,
wow.
and
Okay.
yet he loves time travel movies. I'm like, how do you avoid that? I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
The funny part, he goes, "Oh, those are time travel. Those are about time travel." Like,
yeah, mate.
um, but then I found out that he had never seen Aliens.
And then you went, I got to question my friendship with you.
I pretty much said, you need to just drop what you're doing and go take care of that right now. To which, credit to him, he did exactly that. But it made me think about, what are movies that you just like from the. Now you're gonna be because you're a little bit younger than me, so you're gonna be a slightly different skewing of this. But I was thinking,
Yes.
movies from the 80s and early 90s that if you heard somebody hadn't seen today, that you consider a friend, or that you've had conversations with, that seem normal, that they seem like they would be up on the same kind of pop culture that you are, that you would just go, what? How I don't, does not compute.
How why what are you doing? I think probably for me, it might be Die Hard, actually.
You have to have seen Die Hard. That's a mandatory.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it would be Die Hard is like, really, and Jurassic Park as well. Like in the cinemas, like Jurassic Park. Yeah.
Well, like Die Hard is one of those that it created its own genre.
It did. Yeah.
And so many movies came out because of that genre. I look similarly at. I look at Lethal Weapon.
Oh yeah, Lethal Weapon was another one too.
That's the epitome of the buddy cop movie. Now, obviously, back 24 Hours was the first of that. The true antagonists butting up heads against each other. But Lethal Weapon perfected it and spawned countless other buddy cop movies.
Yes,
because of that. So that's certainly on my list. When you think about other science fiction that is RoboCop.
Yeah, RoboCop is a big one. That was like,
and that's because it's in that melding of
police drama and science fiction.
Comic book science fiction. Yeah, it's over the top kind of stuff.
The other one would have to be, for me, Last Action Hero. Like that is just.
Really, you like that movie?
I think it was hilarious. It was great.
Oh my gosh, I hate that movie.
Oh, really?
I hate it so much.
Why do you hate it so much?
I hate it because I recognize the potential of it. I love meta
movies.
Yeah. That's why Deadpool I love, because it's pointing out all the things that I would recognize anyways. But what I hated about Last Action Hero was, the kid annoyed the crap out of me.
Yeah.
It was Arnold, like Arnold in True Lies. That's the perfect.
Oh, True Lies, so good.
Arnold amalgamation. It's rock solid action, but he's also dropping one-liners left and right. But you're not cringing at him. Whereas in Last Action Hero, I was cringing at him. It was like too polished, too.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, the gallery over here on the YouTube comments is starting to come alive.
Fire up!
Yes, we were getting that. Blade Runner boring. You know what? I'll give you it. It's not an action-packed film, but I didn't realize that it was actually like so limited in story until probably my 5th or 6th viewing, and I realized that it's the visuals are so astounding, and the world building is so astounding that filled in everything else for me. Before I finally went, hey, there's not much really here.
But it's pretty as hell. So,
Yeah. Another comment here, Fifth Element. To me, that's world building right on top of Blade Runner. That's my second favorite.
Yeah, I love Fifth Element. That's a great choice. Great choice.
Yeah, and then they put in Starship Troopers, which
I love it for its just taking the piss out of itself so well. I love it.
There's where I go. I would rather watch RoboCop instead. I mean, they're both Verhoeven movies, and they're both gleefully violent.
Yeah,
I would lean more towards the RoboCop mentality. And what, you've never seen it? Starship Troopers, a lot of people I can forgive for not having seen.
It got a really bad rap when it was released, and there's probably good reason for it. But I love it. It's so terrible, it's good for me. That's what I love about it.
But I mean, like, you think about this, and again, because of how old it is, there's plenty of people that are full-grown adults that have never seen Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah. Even if it's been on reruns, like on TV. Yeah.
Right. Which I would just have to smack him in the face and be like, go take care of that. I'm not talking to you until you go take care of that. It's just, unacceptable. If you went the comedy route, you have to have seen Animal House. That movie influenced so much, and to this day is still influencing movies.
Yeah, see, I've not seen that one.
Oh,
I need to go and do it.
Of course, you got little ones in the house, so you got to save it for late night,
or just like headphones and my laptop in my room, having a private session.
Right. Yeah. Same thing goes with Caddyshack. That movie.
Oh, yeah, we've seen Caddyshack. Like, there's been a fair few variations of Caddyshack too, hasn't there? It's like a couple of them, isn't there?
No, there was Caddyshack 2.
Yes.
And thankfully, that was the end of it. The funny thing is that with Caddyshack 2, it actually has elements in it that I love. But they're like maybe 10 minutes worth of the movie, and the rest of the movie is utter garbage.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a second. This is a good one that just popped up. Somebody says that Porky's is better than Animal House. To which I say, I didn't laugh once watching Porky's. Not once. And if I watched it today, it doesn't hold up in the least. And the weird thing is that came out directed by the same guy. Porky's came out the exact same year that A Christmas Story came out. So the same director directed Porky's and A Christmas Story. Which is just...
I don't know what The Christmas Story is either.
See, you're not in America where it airs 24 hours a day during Christmas.
Oh, right, okay.
Your Christmases are not filled with snow and cold weather. So, completely different vibe. It doesn't surprise me that you in Australia, that wouldn't even be a touchstone in the least.
There was one, it's a rom-com that is set in Christmas, and it's got a whole lot of famous people in it, and it's
Love Actually?
Yes, Love Actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
That always comes out at Christmas over here. Like with every single time. You can guarantee that will be on rerun again.
Now, have you seen Christmas Vacation?
No.
Wow. See, there's another that to me.
I think that's just before my era. That one. I think, yeah.
So those are that's my two Christmas movies right there, is Christmas Story and Christmas Vacation. It's like, and Die Hard.
And Die Hard.
And Die Hard.
Watch the YouTube comments line up with that
one. What else? Ferris Bueller.
Oh, yeah, Ferris Bueller is great.
If somebody hasn't seen that, it's like, it still holds up today as far as I'm concerned, other than the fact that the complete lack of cell phones if there were cell phones today, it would completely change that movie. Like, everything that happens in that movie would be completely different because of cell phones.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't really be that way.
No.
It wouldn't be a movie.
I questioned whether I would consider Conan the Barbarian one that is you have to have seen that. Because I don't know, it's one of those that is kind of a deep dive as to whether I would be amazed if somebody hadn't. And then if you go deeper into the 90s, it's Heat. That's kind of like one of my last ones that it's like, what? You haven't seen Heat?
I haven't seen Heat. What's it about?
Heat is about a group of thieves headed up by Robert De Niro, and they're going after a rather large score, and Al Pacino is the cop that is basically trying to crack what's going on in the city of LA. It features, hands down, the best gun battle you've ever seen.
All right.
It is, I think, an 8-minute long battle.
Wow.
And there's no music. It's just the sound and echoes, because it takes place in downtown LA.
Yeah.
just the sound of automatic gunfire. It's one of those that if you ever want to impress somebody with your home theater setup,
that's the one.
You throw that scene on, you crank it up as loud as possible because the bass thumps you just pound in your chest.
Oh wow!
I remember when I saw it in the theater and people broke out in applause after it was over. After that scene was over, people just like stood up and clapped. It was absolutely incredible. And I just watched the movie 3 or 4 weeks ago. And still, to me, it's a flawless movie. It's absolutely perfect. And that's about the final, like in terms of this timeline that I'm saying, 80s to early mid 90s. Because beyond that, a person in this age bracket that I'm talking about has probably seen everything else that's kind of shuttled through after
probably. Yeah.
But, my wife just popped in and goes, wait, has Jared seen Harry Potter yet?
Oh, yeah. Well, yes, actually, because they're actually doing... I have seen most of the Harry Potters up to about, I think, the third one, and then I tailed off. But now they're actually doing reruns of them all in sequence on TV at the moment. So I'm filling a lot of the gaps. I think they're playing Order of the Phoenix tonight. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm getting a lot of the gaps filled in. I watched the one the other night, which strangely enough, it stayed in my memory for a while. It was one where they have the time turner and they're going back in time to solve things. I think it's the
fantastic use of time. Not time travel, but
time.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. Like to watch it again. It's like, yeah, this is a great story. Like there's nothing you can say. It's really well put together.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoyed rewatching that again.
Which brings up again, why in the world is there no Harry Potter pinball?
I have no idea. It is such a gross oversight. I don't know. J.K. Rowling would be charging too much. Boy, they could do some things. Imagine if they got that license in Zen. We've said it before.
Zen would run wild with it.
They could make a whole like sub-genre like pack of Harry Potter.
I mean, right off the bat, not only do you have just the pins about the movies, per se. You could
do 6 right there.
Well, there's 8. No, there's a total of 8. Or 7 technically, story-wise, with the books. But split them up into 3. In terms of what the tables are covering. Boom, there's 3 tables right there. A table exclusively dealing with playing Quidditch is such a natural for pinball. It's ridiculous.
Yep.
Even if you had, I can even think about having oversized pinballs that would be released to block your ball as a bludger or something like that. I don't know.
Bludger, yeah.
Hoops at the back of a playfield that you would launch the ball through is just a no-brainer to me.
Yeah. Oh, geez. It will be so good.
And then you think about the very idea of, say, turning back time. Well, what does Zen have? They have the rewind button.
They do.
In rewinding events, that you've been playing.
Imagine doing that exact scene where you're actually retracing your steps with the time turner, and you weren't able to actually there'd be a ball on the playfield, but you couldn't get near the ball because then it would break the you can't be seen rule. Yeah. That would just be amazing. Yeah.
You could have a whole thing where the one table is nothing but Hogwarts with moving staircases, moving ramps, going into different areas. You could have, my wife is now shouting things. She's all trapdoors.
Yeah.
Think about the Theater of Magic table.
Yeah.
It's a table about magic. Now just Harry Potter themed the whole thing, and bam, instant beauty. It's astounding to me that there hasn't been. And now you've got a whole new batch of movies that are coming out with the Fantastic Beasts. You already had one. You've got another one that's about to open in a couple of weeks. They've already stated they're going to make 5 of them.
5? Wow.
No pinball. I don't get it in the least. And I really think Zen should be hopping on this.
Oh, man.
It's such natural for digital pinball. It's ridiculous.
It is just begging to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the thing is that, they don't have the problem of going into a franchise that maybe is in the first couple of things that the first couple of movies. They've got so much material to work with here. It's all essentially sewn up. Yeah. There's no problem with trying to work ahead of the movie release or anything like that. It's all laid out for you, and you can pick and choose exactly what you want It is just like the best. It had to be the best scenario for a studio wanting to do this.
And there's so many, just like Star Wars, there's all these offshoot side stories.
Oh, jeez.
Some of these books that have been, and they're all written by the actual author, so it's not even like, it's
not fanfic. No, they're actual genuine.
Yeah. So
far out.
It's one of those titles that to me is just such an easy, natural fit.
There must be a reason why it hasn't been done. I'd say it's probably very expensive.
Well, I think that it's the first movie came out at the same time as Lord of the Rings. And obviously they did a Lord of the Rings table, and that was the end of it. But that was also when pinball was really struggling.
Yes.
And I think by the time pinball kind of got its feet back underneath it, Harry Potter was pretty much on its tail legs. And they might have been like, it's not worth, it's not a hot property, if you will.
Potentially. Maybe that's the problem. Like it's more.
They go back and they do the Hobbit tables. You got those, and I don't know. It's just one of those titles that it boggles my mind that it hasn't been done, especially by Zen. That's the one that I'm just amazed of all the properties that they get offered to do. Now they haven't done a single Warner Brothers property yet. So
it is a Warner Brothers table. That's right. It's a Warner Brothers franchise, and they have an association with them. Good, because Warner Brothers is like the Jaws and all that, right?
No,
like,
Jaws was Universal.
Universal, that's right. So
like Future, E.T., Jaws.
Have they actually done any Warner Brothers properties at all? No, maybe they'd actually don't have a license.
Farsight didn't do any Warner Brothers tables because. Which would have been Dirty Harry, Flintstones. What else was Warner Brothers that was Bugs Bunny's Birthday Bash? Please don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
But I think that Farsight, in their negotiating ability, said that Warner Brothers was prohibitively expensive. Batman, that would be Warner Brothers.
Oh, yes. Then that's probably the reason why. There's a lot of very interesting, very expensive properties in there. But, Zen have the chops to do it. That's not their first rodeo with negotiations, so...
No, and it's one of those... That's where Look, they're not going to stick with just doing Williams Ballet tables. They already have that. I think their plate has been cleared of licenses that they agreed to do, but we'd asked them about how they were choosing properties, and they said, it's not even us approaching the licenses anymore. The licenses are approaching us and saying, hey, we want to have a pinball machine, and they're like, so we're culling through this pile. So maybe Potter never has even come up, but
probably not.
And the problem is we could ask Mel about it, and he's not going to drop a hint.
No way, he's not going to tell us.
Unfortunately, Zen has been very lockbox tight on leaking information.
They're essentially pretty good with their NDAs.
Well, whereas I could have a casual conversation with somebody from Farsight, and they'd drop me hints about stuff, and I'd be like, "Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah, we're not getting that at all."
No, and I think it's because of just the fact that, like with Farsight, they were really only dealing with one licensor, which was Scientific or whoever the other licensor was before then. But there's so many different brands involved in the tables that Zen do that they can't just drop it. They just can't do it.
So it's I don't know. I keep on going back to that one though, where it's just like, when they announce that'll if they ever announce it, that'll be awesome, because I think that it would be absolutely, they would go nuts with the elements on the table. They could just absolutely go nuts.
The pinball designers over in Budapest would just be going nuts with all the things they could do. I can only begin to imagine what they do with it. Like I think we'd see the return of a lot of virtual ramps, put it that way.
Well, I mean, and it's just like, just in the 5 or so minutes that we've been spitballing, we can come up with a myriad of ideas. Now imagine sitting in a designer's room and being like, okay, folks, we're going to brainstorm for the next 2 hours.
Yeah, or like 2 weeks.
Well, 2-hour sessions or whatever, and you keep on revisiting it. Oh my God, the amount of the whiteboard would be filled.
Oh yeah, they had 2 whiteboards full of stuff.
Yeah,
not just one. It'd just be incredible. Yeah. I really hope it eventuates. I'm sure that Zen probably would too, because I mean, they have to be thinking of this as like something they'd like to do.
But yeah, well, yeah, you would hope. Like
it might just be that they got so much other work on the table they don't even need to consider these sort of licenses, because they got that much of a queue of people wanting them to do tables for them. It's like, yeah, okay.
I still say that the hint was dropped, and it's not going to be mentioned again, probably because it probably won't happen now. That when Mel said that he wished that they could do Stranger Things as a license, I'm putting on my skeptical or my prospector's hat here. I'm pretty sure that they were in talk with Telltale.
You reckon? And then it got canned.
I do, because Telltale was working on a Stranger Things game.
Yeah, right.
So,
and they already have a relationship with Telltale
with doing Walking Dead, and it was going to be that exact same type of game. I'd put money down on saying that was in the cards and going to happen, and now it ain't going to happen.
Yeah, you're probably right. It certainly would add up if they were having a discussion about it.
Yeah, which it would have been interesting too, because there again, you've got a game that has, or a show that has fantasy elements that could be so quickly done in the pinball world, especially now that we see what you think about when they go into the Upside Down. It would be just like what we see currently with the Williams tables, where with the push of a button, the whole playfield changes its look, and that's exactly what would happen. It would be just boom, done. Can't do this in a real table, can you?
Exactly. Yes.
And you would imagine that the physics would be also a little bit different too, just because of the very nature of the show with what happens there. So,
yep, absolutely.
Things that we can dream about.
Yeah, that are really probably just going to remain as dreams.
Yeah. I've gotten all my parts in for the microcab.
Hooray!
Hooray! However, I now realize I did 2 boneheaded things. So, the first boneheaded thing was that I ordered my flipper buttons, and I got those in, and then I realized that they didn't come with the backs to secure them to the actual pinball machine.
Oh, the nuts. Yeah, right.
So, for our YouTube friends, it's this little nut, the little flat. They make it either out of nylon or steel.
Yep.
And that's what holds
the flipper body into the cabinet.
Right. Because all the arcade buttons that I bought came with the backs. And so I just assumed that the flipper button would come with the back. I didn't bother clicking onto the other page on the pinball website. So this little nut that costs 35 cents a nut, sure, I could order them, but then I'm going to have to pay $10 in shipping.
Yeah, right.
Hopefully the hardware store has what I need. I can't imagine that they're not going to have something as basic as this. And then my friend even said, he goes, if it's as simple as what you're saying, I could probably 3D print you one. And I was like, yeah, well.
Yeah, true.
The other boneheaded thing was there's 2 different lengths of flipper buttons.
Oh.
Based off of all the arcade buttons that I got, I went and kind of matched their length with the shorter version of the flipper button. And then today I went outside because I was curious. I was like, wait, how do these flipper buttons go into the cabinet? Is it a partially drilled out hole and then another hole completely drilled through for where the screw portion, the thread portion goes through, and that's what captures and traps? So I wanted to see. So I went out. So I've got my Bally table, which is 8-ball deluxe, and I've got my Williams table, which is Firepower. Firepower is a mess on top. I haven't been cracking it open to take a look at it. The playfield's not even in there. I've got that pulled. So I never was looking at it. I was just looking at my Bally table. The Bally table does not use this kind of flipper button or nut. It uses a whole housing that it goes into.
Yeah, it uses the Gottlieb style.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was kind of what I kept on seeing and what I kept on looking at. So today I decided, okay, fine. I cleared off the top of Firepower, opened it up, looked, because I just wanted to see what this nut looked like. I pull out the flipper button. I go, hey, this is longer than the one I ordered. So I go and I look, and sure enough, it's about 1/4 of an inch longer. So I take the one that I ordered and I put it into the machine, and it just barely clears the 3/4 inch plywood.
Yeah, right.
Which there's no room for the nut to actually secure onto, and it's not going to be able to push the switches.
Yeah, actuator.
Like, oh. So now I'm thinking, instead of 3/4 inch MDF that we're going to build this out, can we do it in 1/2 inch? And my thought process because of that is because of the arcade buttons are shorter also, which means they're not going to have much tooth to grab onto. Now, they don't have to worry about the actual, the switch, the pinball leaf.
That's right.
But I'm like, oh, crap, did I just totally bone myself with not having cleared off that table and looked, or do I need to order up those?
You might just have to suck it up and order the right length buttons and the nuts while you're there.
I really don't know. I really don't know. Or is it a situation where we make the side panels where the flipper buttons go? Because again, the one button that I'm using, that's the arcade button that goes underneath the 2 flipper buttons, it's just as short as the ones I ordered. So maybe I need 1/2 inch there, and I can do 3/4 inch everywhere else. Or does that even make sense? Why is the 3/4 inch completely arbitrary? Or can we do it out of 1/2 inch? I don't know. I got to call my buddy up and find out if that throws a giant monkey wrench into the whole.
Well, look, I'd say for the application that you're using, you probably could get away with 1/2 inch.
I would think. I mean, the 3/4 was because you're dealing with all that weight. You need a rigid box, whereas you don't need that rigid box for what?
No, there's nothing going except a couple of very light circuit boards, and just, well, the other thing too is, you don't even have to worry about your mounting for your legs being a consistent size, because you're just going to use bolts and nuts through them. So you don't need to worry about any sort of plates or any of that sort of stuff that's standard pinball hardware. So that's not even a consideration.
Well, that I did go ahead and order the mounting brackets for,
you did?
For the legs.
It's still okay, because you're still going to have a right angle, which is they're going to go on the right angle, and they're going to be fine. So that's not going to be a problem. No. But I don't think you need to go with 3/4 inch ply. I think, or MDF, it's 1/2 inch would be perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a look at what they were building the prototypes out of. They were using foam core, which is that's like 1/4 of an inch. The foam core, it's really thin.
Yeah, I don't know what he wanted. Probably.
But structurally, that would have actually probably been all right. Like, it would still be strong enough to actually do what you want to do with it. It would just be light. So, and you think about 3/4 inch ply versus 1/2 inch ply, and the amount of ply and wood that you're actually going to have on the controller is not exactly, it's not going to be like a full cabinet anyhow. So you wouldn't notice a difference, really.
Yeah. So anyway, that was one of those.
It would save on costs as well. It would actually keep the bill of materials down as well, because it'd be cheaper.
Right.
So that's actually probably not a bad thing.
He also, my friend texted me the other day. He had a picture of the coin door that he 3D printed. And as I said, he had to print it in quarter panels.
Segments. Yeah.
And then glue them together. And he texted me, he goes, 4 hours into filling and sanding, I'm starting to hate you.
Oh, jeez.
And so I went, because I don't know anything about, so I called him up and I go, why did you have to sand and do all this fill? He goes, because that's when you butt them up and you liquid and it expands and you got to sand it back down. And there's gaps and you got to fill in the gaps and all this. And I'm like, oh man, I'm sorry. He goes, yeah, if you do any more of these, we're going to have to find a different way of doing this.
Yeah, we're going to have to injection mold them, surely, like you would.
Well, it's either do injection mold or buy
a big platter.
For an excuse, but buy a larger 3D printer that can do.
Yeah. I think it'd probably be cheaper if you're going to do them, just like injection mold them and just do 50 of them.
Yeah. He says that all the parts, or the materials to do an injection mold would be probably about $60 to do that. So it only makes sense if you're making at least 10.
I'd make 50 and put them up on eBay.
Well, yeah. I mean, at that point, you might as well just bang them up. Here, I'll show you for our YouTube viewer. This is the the small arcade button. So it's about
yeah.
this is the flipper button that I bought. You butt them right together. They're the exact same height.
Yeah,
so,
right.
And these are both what is going to go into the side cabinet.
So if you hold those two buttons up side by side again, like you've got, you know, the flipper button, if you have a look at it, it's got that top thing on it, and it's just about it's got the same amount of meat on the bottom of it to actually put the screw on.
Yeah, so I mean, if I lowered this down, truthfully, that maybe is the 1/4 inch necessary on the small arcade. It's this little bezel here. That's the part that you wind up having to
have to like route out.
And then you have to route that out, and then the thread part is what actually goes all the way through. So it's a weird button.
Yeah, it is.
And that, I also for the 2-stage switches.
All right. Yeah.
So that's the other thing that's figuring out is figuring out how hard it's going to have to push in order to hit both.
Yeah, there's a fair bit of travel there. Although once you actually get that all like locked in, I've had those switch bodies as well when I've been doing up the Star Race, and it's surprising how little movement you need, particularly if you bend the contacts quite close together, because you'll be fine then. Yeah.
So
the other option is,
but that's the very issue is if this one's barely sticking through, it's not going to have enough. It'll have enough to maybe make contact with one, but it won't have enough to make contact with the other.
Yeah.
So it has to come in enough that it can actually
be quite hard up against it. Yeah.
To do all of them. The other thing that I didn't realize was what I bought, and this is probably what's standard with all flipper buttons now, is mine has a spring in it.
Yes.
The one that's in my Firepower ain't got no spring. The spring is entirely based off of the spring of this, sending it back. So I thought that was
you might find that it's just missing the spring. Someone might have actually just changed over the button, because they do get pretty cut up.
You can buy them with spring or without spring.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's definitely an option.
Interesting.
So anyway, the good news about this all, though, is that now that I have all the parts, it's just a matter of scheduling time and going and
putting the thing together.
I went and I got paint swatch for the color blue that I'm thinking of, and then I looked up what actual Whirlwind blue is, like what people have put together up on Pinside, which might be a little darker than what I was wanting. But the funny thing is going into the paint store and you're looking at all the paint chips, and they don't make vibrant colors because people don't want that on their walls.
No, they really don't.
Muted, washed out. This is the see, I got my colors of blue that I'm thinking about. I was thinking about using this lighter blue. Whirlwind blue is more this with a little more purple in it, a little bit.
Okay.
But it's a vibrant. And this was the only card in the entire store that had that vibrant blue. Everything else was just kind of washed out, sedate.
You know what you should do? Can you go and take a piece and get it spectrally analyzed at your paint shop?
Oh, what? Gonna piece from what?
What, like a? Well, sometimes what I did is I actually took my what did I do? I took my playfield arch with me to Bunnings, which is a hardware store over here, and I used that to actually determine the type of paint that I needed, the rattle can I needed, and I literally got it bang on with sight, like a sight match. But I recently, there's a hole in the roof that I had to fix, and I knew that I would have had to repaint it. So what I did is when I was fixing the hole, I took a bit of the plasterboard paper off with the original paint on it, and then I took it down to Bunnings, and they put it under this machine that analyzes the paint swatch. So, would you be able to find a transportable enough bit of pinball bit that you could go and actually get the exact match done?
No, I don't know anybody that has a Whirlwind.
Well, no, okay, that's true.
they've already posted what the numbers are that other people have taken their decals in and done exactly that.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine.
The blue on the decal is the exact same blue needed. What I've realized, though, seeing what those look like, is all the whirlwinds that I've seen have probably been faded.
Faded, yes. That's a problem.
But I think I like that faded blue more,
yeah, right.
darker than the darker purplish blue. So, my buddy keeps saying, "Well, you want that exact?" I go, "No. I want the feel. I don't need it to be precisely whirlwind blue. I just wanted that kind of blue. That was the ballpark that I'm aiming for."
Look, I know that when I was trying to match up the colors for the outside of the Star Race cabinet, I got it wrong. Absolutely got it wrong. Like the blue that I chose was not a space blue. It was like quite a light blue compared to what was actually on the inside. But the paint match I got on the arch is very, very close to what it actually is and what it looks like in the cabinet. So like the outside of the cabinet is going to have a different color on it than a different blue than the inside, but it's not actually a bad thing. It actually looks fine.
Yeah.
The thing is, the most important thing is that it's consistent. So, that's what you got to worry about. If you choose a color, the good thing is you're not going over old paint. It's brand new.
Yeah.
So it's going to look great whatever color you choose, really.
Yeah. So, but that's that's the deal. So hopefully we'll start getting this thing assembled, or actually start working on it, I should say, within the next 2 weeks.
That'll be pretty good. You have to get your soldering iron out and wire all the components into your board.
That's right. That's right. I'm gonna finally learn how to do some proper soldering. I've only ever unsoldered something, and I tried soldering onto a board, and I had to have my neighbor come and fix my mistake. So
you might want to actually just get a really cheap bit of breadboard and do some practicing with some dodgy wire before you actually start doing it on your very shiny pin set boards.
It's my buddy knows how to do all this. So if I have somebody watching me, over my shoulder, telling me what to do, or can show me right then and there, and then I can immediately hop on and do it,
you should be right.
Then I'm fine. This is what I deal with in camera, where I'll go onto a set and it'll be some new digital camera that I've never touched before. And all the accessories that go onto it are different, and all the plugs, and I don't have a clue what anything is, right? Well, give me 2 hours of working with this thing and somebody that does know what they're doing, plugging it all in. After that,
good to go.
Or if I got to do the prep of it and I had a whole day of prepping, by the end of the prep day, I'm good to go.
You're good to go, yeah.
So long as I'm not having to sit there with an instruction manual and try and interpret words into action, I'm fine.
You're fine.
Yeah.
You're very much a visual learner, visual and kinesthetic learner. Yeah.
Very much. So, but it's like I said, it'll be a whole new. I got to deal with woodworking, which I don't deal with. Painting, which I hate. Electronics, which I know nothing about.
So all these things that you don't like doing, you're going to do.
I'm going to do. Yeah. And then maybe I'll be able to apply that to my firepower.
Well, yeah, maybe. You'll certainly be able to do a lot more soldering work on your firepower. Like, it was the same with me. Like, I hadn't done soldering for, a long, long time. So when I started to resolder components onto Star Race, they were pretty rough. Like there was a lot of cold joints and stuff like that when I was soldering on. And it was also difficult because I was dealing with really old wire. Right. And the old wire tends to not want to tin very well.
Yeah.
So, you've got to actually, in some cases, I had to actually get sandpaper out and rough up the wire so it would actually take a tin. But on the new wire, because what I did is I started to join a lot of the new switch bodies and stuff up with brand new wire. And that was just a joy because new switch body, so you had new contacts without any existing solder on. You had brand new fresh wire. So all you did is basically strip the wire, twisted it, looped it through the eyelet on the switch, and then you just heated the switch body, the actual little tang that the wire goes in. You just flow the solder on, it just goes and just goes into the wire. It was such a satisfying experience. It was just wonderful. Like just doing work with new wire versus like old 40-year wire is just like chalk and cheese.
Yeah.
So it'll be very easy for you like putting wire through the board and soldering it on. Like it'll just, if you have to solder and you haven't done it for a while, using new components is a godsend.
And that's all we're going to be using is new.
Yeah, so I don't think you're going to have any trouble. Or you do a couple of them and it'll be like done.
Yeah. So
yeah, like
I said, it's a matter of scheduling time between my friend and me, and when we can get together. But he was like, "I'm going to put you to work. You're gonna be doing all this."
That's good though. Like you want that.
No, I'm not afraid of doing that. I just hate doing it on my own without prior knowledge. So.
And someone's saying, going, "Oh, look, you could do it that way, but if you did it this way, you'd save yourself 3 hours work." Right. You go, well, let's just do it that way, shall we? That's the hardest part, right?
Yeah, big time the hardest part. So anyway, there'll be a future post, obviously, over on our website about that once that ball starts rolling. Speaking of our website, have you visited BlahCadePinball.com/episodes? If not, why? What's your problem? You're listening to the show right now. Shouldn't you want to get the full experience? If you go over there, you will see all these wonderful show notes that Jared likes to post, along with pictures and web links to anything that we happen to be mentioning. Fortunately for Jared, there's not going to be much to link to today.
There's not a lot to link to. It's just basically a straight post. The last one was interesting. I did a lot of linking out to it seemed apps and stuff, and a lot of background information about what Smurfberries are. Okay. The post that I shared was the exact post that defined Smurfberries for me. The one from Review Lagoon. It's a guy called Shane Munro, and when I was really into Android, I followed him a lot on Twitter and Google Plus back then. And this article was like the one that was committed to memory for Smurfberries because it explains it so eloquently. So definitely go and check that out if you haven't already, about what Smurfberries are.
Also, be sure and check out redbubble.com and type in BlahCade, or do a search for BlahCade. That's where we got merch, folks. If you want to throw some support our way, it's an easy way of doing that, and you get something in return. So we get something, you get something, everybody's happy. All sorts of t-shirts, hoodies, and phone cases, and stickers, and mugs, all that sort of jazz with the wonderful BlahCade logo slapped on it, because we want your friends to go, hey, what's that?
That's right.
So make sure you visit redbubble.com and type in or search for BlahCade, and once that pops up, just click on anything and you'll start seeing all the various products, and you
can start going down the rabbit hole of our merch.
Down the rabbit hole, because then you can start doing all the color variations that you want, and
there's going to be a lot of unique-looking, good-looking roosters out there wearing the BlahCade gear if they want to do it. So,
and as you mentioned last time, the beautiful thing is that it's printed more locally to wherever your destination is, so you're going to get it quick, and you're not going to be over a barrel for shipping costs.
No, it's pretty quick. I was quite surprised when I ordered mine. I went, wow, done already? Jeez. Yeah, it's pretty good.
If you don't feel like having merch and you still want to support us, well, we have PayPal for that. So feel free to, again, on our website, there's all the information about how you can do that. And we appreciate it, as I applied the donation that we got that was specifically earmarked towards the microcab straight into microcab parts. So that's where I got this last batch of parts from. From that.
That's great.
Beyond that, make sure you follow the show on Twitter. At BlahCade is where you want to do that. You'll always find out when we're recording the podcast, as well as when we post our weekly Zen tournament table that we play, as well as other information. Like, for instance, right now Zen is running a sale on Humble Bundle for the Marvel 1 and Star Wars 1 packs, I think, and they're like 10% off currently.
And you get to support charity, so even better.
Even better. Yep. So that we just retweeted yesterday or today. I can't remember which, but anyway. So whenever we hear news about digital pinball, we tend to also forward that on the Twitter handles. Or you could go ahead and just follow myself. I am at Shut Your Traps. Jared is at Jared Morg. And then you get other things like all of the stuff Jared does with his Star Race machine and all the stuff that I do that's movie related.
That's right. So you get a whole lot of information if you subscribe to the socials.
Precisely. And as always, if there's anything that you want to comment about that you want to keep semi-private or information that you want from us regarding the show or things you want us to talk about, you can always email us. That is BlahCade@gmail.com.
Yep.
All right. With that, I think next week Jared is unavailable.
Yes, I'm going over to an island called Tangalooma Island, and there is a diabetes conference over there. So the whole family's going over. We're staying over there a couple of nights, and the kids go off and do activities with a team of diabetes educators monitoring their levels, while my wife and I go and learn about how to manage diabetes better. So it's a bit like a holiday, bit like a seminar, but it should be a lot of fun. We get to feed dolphins as well.
So there will be no show next week. The following week, I'm just looking at the calendar. We'll be back with the show. Don't know what that one's going to be about. Hopefully some things have taken place in the meantime. And then the following week, probably midweek, we'll be posting the interview with Mel. So there may not even be a show on the normal time next on that following week. It might just roll straight into that.
The pre-recorded, yeah. Who knows?
How long Mel decides to talk to me.
Yeah. Otherwise, it could be like a 15-minute show,
right?
Which would be.
And Jared are going to have to do some more chat, and if it's a full hour like it was last time, then no need.
If it was a 15-minute show, that would take the record as the shortest show in history of BlahCade.
Yeah. So anything in particular that you want us to ask of Mel that we didn't get the last time that we talked to him? Why don't you go ahead and drop us a question of that sort via email? That'd be really good, and then I can try and put some of those into this. And then we'll see what like I said, he's got some other things apart from just mentioning what's going on with the next table pack that he wanted to touch upon. So we'll find out what those are too. It's all a big mystery. He's keeping us in the dark, which is kind of fun.
We don't even know. Yeah, like that. We haven't got any hints or anything from him. So he's being super secret.
Super secret.
Yeah. Which makes it fun for us too, because it gives us a surprise as well.
Yep.
Because we don't get advance warning of it. We actually get to find out when you guys get to find out. So it's cool. It's very good.
It certainly makes it a lot less of that, oh, guy, I really want to tell factor.
Yeah. Yes. That's right.
All right. Enough is enough. Thank you all for listening. And we'll see you next week. Or no, we'll see you 2 weeks from now.
2 weeks from now.
Yes.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.